What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. You guys already know what it is. It's draft season all year long, and today we have a Las Vegas Raiders mock draft here for you guys. This is an updated list. Sunday Night Football between the Washington Commanders and the Giants are going on right now as we speak. And before we get into the video, guys, I can't not mention the game that just happened. The Raiders had the most improbable, the craziest victory in NFL history, in my opinion. That was just unbelievable. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. So congratulations on the win, keeping your playoff hopes alive. But today we have a mock draft here for the Raiders. And if you guys are a Raiders fan, consider sharing the video, because the more views this gets, the more likely I am to do another Raiders mock draft in the future. And also consider subscribing. So we are in a position here with the number 11 overall pick where we have two players that I'm really debating between, and it's Myles Murphy and Quentin Johnston. Now, before we start picking players, I want to make it clear that the way that I view the draft, I think sometimes taking the best player available is better than drafting for need. Now, if the gap between the player of need and the best player available is very marginal, we'll take the need, of course. But then there are times where there's just too much value on the board, and it just makes a ton of sense to draft the best player available on the board. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, in my opinion, best player on the board still here, Quentin Johnston, wide receiver out of TCU. Now, whether you think Matt Collins is a reliable wide receiver 2 option or not, I think Quentin Johnston is just better than him. That's the deal breaker at the end of the day. Davante Adams is still one of the best wide receivers in the league. Hunter Renfrow is one of the better slot receivers in the league when healthy. And same goes for Darren Waller, one of the better tight ends in the league when healthy. But I can't emphasize enough how important it is for this team to have a good second option at wide receiver in terms of outside receivers. Matt Collins is not having a horrible year by any means. Definitely his best year in his career. But I think Quentin Johnston is just a better, more athletic football player than he is. And I think that this would certainly elevate Derek Carr's game. Look, I can't stress enough how important it is to have a second option at wide receiver for every single football team. This is turning into a pass-heavy league. We need wide receivers at the position to rely on. And having a guy like Quentin Johnston, look, if you guys don't know him, this guy is an athletic and physical freak. He's standing at 6'4", and his best attribute is his run after the catch. That's a scary combination because it's going to be hard to bring this guy down. Typically makes the first guy miss every single time he has the ball in his hands. He's a reliable red zone target and just another reliable option for Derek Carr to lean on in terms of just finding a guy to get into the end zone, because he's done that time after time, week after week here at TCU. So I love Quentin Johnston here. I know this team has leaned on Josh Jacobs a lot in the run game this year, but like I said, I can't emphasize how important it is to have a second option at wide receiver aside from a Darren Waller who's playing tight end or another guy in the slot like Hunter Renfrow. I'm going to take Quentin Johnston here. I think taking the best player available in this situation is the best case scenario. So that's going to be our first round pick right there. Taking a look here in the second round, there is a lot of cornerbacks here in this part of the draft, and I think cornerbacks is probably one of the stronger positions here in this year's draft. And again, this might not necessarily be a need for the Raiders. Is it a position where they could probably get a little better? Certainly. It's not their biggest need though, but there's also a guy like Drew Sanders where I know that linebacker is a pretty big need. So I think we could definitely consider taking him. I just feel like there is so much talent on the board, from Jalen Jones to Christian Gonzalez, Garrett Williams to Devin Witherspoon. I really don't want to pass up on any of these guys right now, and we could even consider taking like a Jared Verse or a Tyree Wilson, but I feel pretty safe right now with the situation they're in with Crosby and Chandler Jones. I'm going to take a cornerback here. Like I said, there's so much depth in this position, at least in the earlier rounds. I mean, look, we're sitting here in round 2, and there are still 4 to 5 guys that are like legit studs here in the top 50. So I'm going to take one of these guys right here. Now, I would take Devin Witherspoon, but I just took him in my last mock draft, so I don't want to become too repetitive. Devin Witherspoon is my second best corner in the draft. But aside from him, the top remaining guy is Christian Gonzalez in my eyes. So we're going to take him here. I am aware Anthony Averett is on this team. So is Rock Yassin, and then you have Nate Hobbs playing in the slot. But like I said, sometimes just taking one of the better players on the board, despite what you may need, is the way to go. So I'm going to take Christian Gonzalez here. Gonzalez is a guy who originally committed to Colorado, transferred out to Oregon later on in his career, And when he played Colorado this year in his revenge game, had 2 interceptions. So he was playing with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder that game. But that just shows the potential that he has, the ability to find the ball in the air, create turnovers for his team. I really value the turnover battle in terms of just the NFL game in general, or just a football game in general. Most times, you have a guy who can find the football, create a turnover for your team. Just a huge plus for everyone. So I like Christian Gonzalez here in the second round. So we're going to take him here with our second overall pick. Really addressing the skill positions right now, just making ourselves younger, faster, and better here with Gonzalez and with Quentin Johnston. Now we're sitting here in the third round. This is our final pick. Guys, if you are enjoying this mock draft, or if you enjoy anything NFL draft related, this is going to be the channel for you. So I would consider subscribing. So sitting here in the third round, guys, Tyler Nubin is a very intriguing option here because this team needs a safety. I mean, there isn't much going on in that position, not a ton to be overly optimistic about. And so I think if you get a guy here in Tyler Nubin who's, fairly high on the board still, and also addresses a need at the same time, this is a plus for the Raiders here, sitting here with the number 74 overall pick in the third round. This could potentially be a day one starter here for the Raiders, and safety is probably one of the weaker positions on this team. So we're going to go ahead and snag him, the safety out of Minnesota. But I think we had ourselves a pretty good draft. Look, this is a draft class that we're coming out here, and you're going to see it in a moment with these 3 players, where we could see all 3 of them in the starting lineup day one. That's amazing. And we got all of these guys at pretty good value. Look, they don't like it with the grades. And I'll never understand PFF's mock draft grading system because we took their number. This is their big board now, not mine. Their number 8 overall player at number 11. We took their number 32 overall player at number 42. And we took their number 51 overall player at 74. So disregard their grades. I think we had ourselves a pretty damn good draft. And I think that these are 3 potential day one starters here for the Las Vegas Raiders. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And again, if you're Raiders fans, share it to other Raiders fans. The more views that this video gets, the more likes, the more likely I am to do another Raiders mock draft in the near future. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Consider subscribing, and I will see you guys all later. Peace.